Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rams Review podcast preview show. And it's match day 3, and it's Friday night under the lights at Pride Park Stadium. And our visitors are Bristol City. Bristol City, who we beat last year convincingly. So I'm sure they're going to be coming to Pride Park wanting to take some revenge and really give it to us. And obviously, with the likes of Jason Knight and Max Bird coming back, and Hayden Roberts, of course, if he's still around. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people with that incentive. And who better to talk about Bristol City and what they're going to bring to the party on Friday night is Ben Mead from Robins on Tour. Ben, how are you, sir?
I'm all good, thanks. Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to the game on Friday. Obviously, second away game of the season. So yeah, can't wait.
Exactly. And let's before we talk about this season, let's talk about last season. You came sixth. I think that was an underachievement probably because I looked at your squad and thought these could be real top two challengers, even with the big boys in. How do you think it played out? Do you think it was sort of a flat line towards the end, or was it an underachievement? Sort of where do you see it as a devout Bristol City follower?
I think overall it was definitely a bit of an overachievement. Just because we weren't expecting it. I mean, season before we finished 11th, and I was saying, at the start of the season, throughout the season, any improvement on the season before would be a positive. So I said top 10 finish, and that would do me. And then obviously it got to sort of um end of February, March at the time, and that's obviously starting to head into the run in. Um, and we start picking up a few massive results, especially at home. I think we went unbeaten for a good 3, 4 months at the end of the season at home, and that played a massive part. We beat West Brom at home in the last minute around Easter, I think it was. That must have been about April time. Hayden Roberts last minute winner, and that was sort of when we started to really believe and think, this is on. And then we managed to beat Sunderland at home. We beat Middlesbrough at home as well. And then obviously it came down to the last game of the season with we didn't play well at all. We went 2-0 down to Preston, but luckily results elsewhere meant that we only needed a point and we managed to get that. So yeah, I think overall it was a bit of an overachievement, and I think we were really expecting to get there as we did, and then obviously we weren't really ready for it. It sort of felt like our season finished at that Preston game, and the playoffs was just sort of a nice bonus. So obviously it wasn't ideal to go and get battered in the playoffs, but yeah, overall it was a really good season, and we're hoping to building it this season with Struber.
Yeah, and that brings me nicely into this season. So obviously there's been a managerial change, and you've now brought Gerhard Struber in. What was your overall underlying thoughts of the departure of your previous manager? Obviously, he's now gone to Norwich. Um, was it a bit underhand? Do you think he deserved that move, or do you think he left unfinished business? And do you think Gerhard Struber is the man to carry on with the good work that he left?
I think I was a bit disappointed when Manning left. Obviously the season we had, probably one of the best seasons I've had supporting City in the last sort of 10, 12 years or so. Apart from the double win in League One, but especially in the last 10 years in the Championship, that's easily the best season we've had. And I think how it all unfolded with it being so, we weren't expecting it. Yeah, I was quite disappointed to see him leave. I thought we were building something quite good under Manning. And obviously, especially really sad at the start of the season, his son died. Um, and then obviously he still managed to come back and help us reach the playoffs. So overall, it was such a weird but really good season for both us and Manning. And I think it just came down to sort of matters above sort of us as fans. I think he's gone to Norwich now, and they've spent 20 million this summer, and I don't think City have spent 5 million, if that. So obviously, there's a lot more money over at Norwich. It's closer to his family and stuff. So looking back at it, it's so understandable, and I think everyone in their right mind would probably make that move. But obviously, just a little bit disappointing from a Bristol City fan perspective.
And that's really nice of you to say so regarding, looking at it in a bigger picture because there's more to life
Yeah,
than football. And I think the way you've sort of presented that and put a realism almost onto probable reasons behind it makes it more of a justified
yeah,
situation for it
exactly.
to be done. And we're all human at the end of the day, and I'm sure you wish him well. So, Gerhard Struber, 48 years old. What what's your thoughts, initial thoughts so far? looking at your pre-season, it seemed to go okay. You've had some positive results so far. You know, Bristol, you drew with Charlton first game of the season. You beat MK Dons against our former manager, which I was chuckling about because I was never a fan. And then you spanked Sheffield United, which was probably the shock result of the season so far. Doing a good job?
Yeah, I mean, between the man in sacking and Struber coming in, I think there was about a 2 week period. And obviously, as you know, when a manager goes, it's it's weeks full of rumours and names being chucked out the hat left, right, and centre. And I think out of all the names that were sort of spoke about, I think Struber was probably he wasn't in the sort of top one or two that I was looking at. Um, and when we appointed him, I was a bit pessimistic. I wasn't really sure what to expect. His former sort of career as a manager hasn't been too great. Obviously, he did okay at Barnsley, kept them up, and then he went off to Cologne, and I know they won the league, but he got sacked for a bad run of form at the end of that season. So overall, I wasn't sort of buzzing with the move, but then again, it's sort of one of those ones where you've just got to back him anyway. And then he's come in, and just from a person point of view, and all of it, his interviews and everything like that, he's such a lovable character. So yeah, he's definitely warm to the hearts of Bristol very quickly. And we all want him to do, so well, not just because it's Bristol City, but for him as well. And then obviously, like you said, pre-season was okay. I mean, nothing really special. We drew to Cheltenham, but that was sort of a second team, and then day after to Plymouth won 3-0. And it's just one of those ones where it's like you're playing lesser teams. We beat Real Valladolid, a Spanish club, 4-0, but then again they were awful. So it's sort of one of those ones that the results were good, but it doesn't always directly move straight into league form. And then first league game of the season we go and win 4-1 at Sheffield United. And I think that put a massive statement out to the fans, mostly, especially after our last game was a 6-0 loss to Sheffield United in the playoffs, to go just a month or two later and go up there and win 4-1 quite comfortably as well. It puts a massive statement out. And then obviously the MK Dons win was good. Again, they weren't great, but it's a nice positive result. We didn't really get out of first gear. And then the Charlton game was a bit underwhelming. Obviously, coming off the back of the Sheffield United game, you want to sort of go and put another 2-3 past Charlton at home and properly send a statement out to the league, and that didn't happen. So I'm just hoping we'll be able to bounce back from that and hopefully pick up 3 points at Derby on Friday.
Well, we'll come to that. Just for people who are watching, the reason why I left my screen is this is Wally, my 5-month-old white-haired dachshund, who was seeking my attention, Ben. So it wasn't that I wasn't listening, I was listening, but this guy was scraping my shins to a point of bone. So he's on my lap now. So we move on to transfers, and obviously the window's still open, and I think you've probably safe to say that you're in the top three most active clubs that within the transfer window, to the point where I believe you're actually in double figures of arrivals. There's been a real emphasis on a new squad, a rebuild almost. Although, from a rebuild from, say, coming sixth, I was quite surprised how many are coming in. And then obviously you've had 8 departures, and I think in looking at 3, 6, 9, 12 inbound. It's a huge turnaround. Was that really needed in the squad, or was it just purely Struber wanting to dive into the market early, or were a lot of these already done before he came in?
I think a lot of them mostly are sort of players sort of coming back and younger players we've brought in. Struber, squad wise, we haven't really changed much. I mean, from the first game of the season, obviously that's different to the end of last season. We've obviously brought in Emil Rees from Preston. We spent 5 million last summer on Fally Mayulu and Sinclair Armstrong, and neither of them hit the ground running at all. We're looking to move on Armstrong now. In this window, we've put him up for sale, and Fally left on loan in January. So he's obviously come back, and we're sort of hoping he's going to hit some form now, but it's not looking but too likely. So obviously we need to bring in a striker. With Naki Wells going over to Luton, and Emil Rees, it was a bit the same with like when Struber came in. I wasn't too fond of it. I thought there was possibly better strikers out there in the market, but from what we've seen so far, he's so much better than what we've had. In Fally and Armstrong, no disrespect to them, but just the way he sort of, he hasn't actually scored yet in a competitive game, but just his movement and when he drops in to help the midfield, just so much better than and so different to what we've had. So that's looking bright, and I think it's going to be one of those ones where as soon as he gets that first goal, he's going to be absolutely rocking. Adam Randall as well from Plymouth. We've brought him in, and he's starting in Struber's lineup with Knight in the middle. And again, he's one of those sort of players, a bit like Jason Knight actually, who sort of just goes under the radar a bit, but constantly gives you a 7, 8 out of 10 performance every single game. So I'm very fond of him. And then we've Atkinson's come back from Portsmouth and he's looked good. He's gone back into the 11, and then Vitek in goal. Man United loanee Max O'Leary injured himself in pre-season, and obviously we had to get in another keeper. And it's a bit harsh. We just put in Joe Lumley as a sort
Yeah,
of backup for O'Leary,
yeah.
but then again, I mean, again, no disrespect to Lumley, but I wouldn't really want to see 4 or 5 months of Joe Lumley in goal. And I think the board have sort of looked at it the same way as well. We've brought in Vitek and he's been unreal. He probably saved us a point against and saved at least 1 or 2 really good goal scoring opportunities at Sheffield United. And hopefully you'll see another performance like that on Friday. But yeah, he's been very good as well. And then we've also had sort of youngsters that were brought in over the last 2-3 years with Manning who maybe haven't hit the ground running, gone out on loan or played in the academy like Adam Murphy. He's starting to come up with Struber. So yeah, it's sort of, although we have signed a lot of players, there's still a lot of the main core we had last season with a few youngsters coming up and a few new money signings that we've brought in.
Yeah, it's Vitek is a keeper I've kept my eye on for a while now. He's a very, very good keeper, and big things will only happen from him. I know that they say he could be the next Petr Cech, and so far what
Yeah,
I've seen, he could easily be that and beyond.
just hope he doesn't get recalled.
Well, and that's the thing. You just never know where with the club that he's come from. You know,
Yeah,
they're
you
just
never know.
yeah, they're soap opera, aren't they? So who knows? Looking at the squad now, and I'm just scrolling down your club website, and it's obviously I tear to my eye when I see Max Bird with his amazing new teeth by the looks of it, and obviously good old Mr. Knight, and then Hayden Roberts. I was a big fan of when he was at Derby. He was a great player. Obviously, we were linked to Zach Viner early in the transfer window, but I think the evaluation that Bristol City put on him were, with all due respect, Ben, 2.8 million for Zach Viner was never going to happen.
Million wasn't
We
happening either.
no, we know what stands out as Derby fans, and we know that Knight's going to bring an engine and Bird's going to bring that class. And I think if you can nullify Bird and not allow him that extra yard to do something, he's always potentially can be sort of nullified. Where do you see the strength in Bristol City Football Club now going into Pryor Park on Friday compared to the team that came to Pryor Park last year and sort of rolled over after a pretty good start, rolled over quite quickly and sort of capitulated?
Yeah, that game was a weird one. It was.
Yeah,
Looking back here, it probably wasn't a 3-0 game, but then
no,
again, we didn't score at all. And I think it was the first half, it was pretty even. Both teams had a few decent chances. And then as soon as you got that first goal, I can't remember sort of what minute it was in, but as soon as you got that first goal, we just capitulated and just stopped playing. And then obviously, it's as easy as that, isn't it, to get another goal or two. But yeah, Friday, it's a weird one because we still sort of. Struber likes to play a sort of 3-4-3 formation, but without wingers, so sort of just midfielders sitting back, and that'll be Scott Twine and Alex Mehmeti, I expect, and that's probably where we'll be most dangerous. I mean, last season, when we did this conversation last year, it would have been our midfield: Jason Knight, Max Bird, Joe Williams. That was sort of all we had last season, with obviously no real attacking force at that time. So now we have got that bit more in attack. I expect it to sort of be that if we can get a hold in the midfield and able to move up the pitch, give the ball to Mehmeti, give the ball to Twine, Emil Reese as well, then I think obviously we'll hopefully cause some problems there. Set pieces as well. Obviously Scott Twine, we've seen it multiple times already this season. If you give us a free kick on the edge of the box, it's pretty much like a penalty for us. Really, it sort of themes like that in the crowd. If we get a free kick on the edge of the box, everyone sort of goes, here we go, and looking forward to to the Scott Twine free kick. And then even at the back now, Ross McCrory on the wing backs, you Hirakawa on the wing backs. That caused Sheffield United a few problems. Charlton nullified it quite well. But again, against some teams, especially teams that like to attack us, our wing backs can come in very handy.
Yeah, well, going back to Jakobsen, we were linked to him as well, and it was a homecoming because obviously he made his name in our academy, but never quite broke through. And I do love his link play, and I think he will be a really good asset for you. Um, do you think that your squad is match fit now? All of them, you're pretty much to strength, or do you believe you're 3 or 4 behind? So, because we'll come to Derby shortly.
Yeah. Midfield wise, we're still Jason Knight, bless him, has just been set back another 8 weeks, I think it was.
So he won't be playing.
Yeah, Jason. No, sorry, not Jason Knight. Joe Williams.
Oh,
Yes,
I'm quite
sorry.
excited. I thought,
Joe
yes.
Williams. Joe Williams has been. Joe Williams was out from the first playoff game. I think it was. He came off injured, and we're due to be back sort of around now, end of August time. And then
Yeah.
it came out yesterday or something. He's been set back another 8 weeks, which obviously isn't ideal for an injury-prone player. Max Bird's been injured during pre-season. He came back. I think he was on the bench on Saturday, so he should be back. I doubt he'll start, but I'm sure he'll be on the bench and make an appearance on Friday. We're still missing McNally at the back, injury. Obviously, like I said, Max O'Leary in goal as well. But apart from that, that's pretty much it. I think Cam Pring as well at left wing back or left back. So yeah, we're definitely not fully fit. We're definitely missing some big players, but we've seen already so far that the players who are filling in have done a perfectly good job. Even you, Hirakawa, who obviously is predominantly a winger. He's been able to do that sort of left wing back role perfectly fine. So yeah, we're definitely not fully fit, but we're getting there. Give it another couple of weeks or a month, and hopefully have a couple more of the players back, and then we'll hopefully be able to get the ground running. So it's just about picking up these points where we can at the start of the season when other teams may not be fully fit or they're still trying to gel, and then give it a couple of weeks, give it 10, 12 weeks, we should have a fully fit squad and should be able to get the ball rolling.
Oh well, you'll clearly feel Derby County fans' pain because what's your thoughts on them? Because this is a team that we've been in the transfer market a lot and bought in a lot of players, but all of them are at the moment in the treatment room, and we haven't actually brought other than Danny Barr, who and Carl Morris to some extent. Everyone else we brought in is not played yet. They're not available. What's your thoughts of Derby County? We sort of had that same analogy that we're just hoping to get through August and the international break with a point on the board. Never mind 3. We've had 2 heavy defeats. One that was unlucky. One that was just bloody naive, to be completely honest. How do you see Derby's season this year going, and who they've signed?
Yeah, I mean, on the face of it, I think you made some really good signings. It's one of those ones where you sort of, I can't pick names out the hat, but you sort of know that they've been active in the window and you've done very well. Obviously, like you said, Carter Morris is a really good signing. Obviously, Naki Welsh replaced him at Luton, but yeah, just on the face of it, it's just sort of that you've made some really good signings. Obviously, building on last season, and I think compared to last year, you'll be nowhere near the bottom of the table this year, and I think you'll start pushing up the table. And like you say, it'll just be sort of how all the new players manage to gel if they gel. Because obviously the same happened Bristol City last year, brought in some 2 big strikers and they just didn't hit the ground running at all, and that caused us a few problems. So I think it'll be one of those runs with you guys if you can get all the players back fit and if they can start gelling, yeah, you'll have a good season this year.
No, I appreciate that, Ben. So just final 2 questions, and now I really appreciate your time. Your top 3 for the season. Who are you putting Bristol City up there? Who do you believe are the 3 that will get to the promised land?
I mean, up to put a second favourites to go up after the Sheffield United game, but obviously I think that was a bit quick to start talking things about. I don't think we'll be top 3. I think it's all just going to depend on form really this season. I think there's so many good teams this season, even the 3 that come up. Charlton are very good defensively when we played them last week. Wrexham have obviously spent a lot of money and are looking half decent. Birmingham have spent a lot of money and bought some really good players. So I think they'll be up there. You got Ipswich, Southampton, Leicester all coming down. But I think it'll be a bit. I think there will be a surprise team or two, and you just got to sort of hope that City are up there. I think Leicester haven't really looked that good in the first two. I think they thought the championship would be much easier than it actually is going to be this year. I think Southampton have got a very good team. Same with Ipswich. I think they'll be up there. So I'll put them two. And then, yeah, I think there'll be a surprise team. Obviously, Coventry, we all know too well. They're going to be up there. West Brom are looking good. Middlesbrough have got such a good team, but they just can't seem to gel at all. I'd like to put us up there, but again, new manager, new players. We weren't expecting it. I think again we take top 10 this season, but after the start we've had, you obviously want to push on and start winning these games and pushing up the table early on. So yeah, I don't think I'd put us up there to be sort of up there at the end of the season, if that makes sense. I think that's more hope at the moment. But again, you can ask me that in 20, 25 games time, and it could be completely different. So I'll go with Ipswich and Southampton, and then I'll go Coventry, Birmingham, someone like that.
Yeah, interesting.
That'll be
You see, I think with Southampton, Ipswich, I get where you're coming from. I think the only thing I will say is that they will be picked off by the Premiership teams. There'll be
yeah,
players in those two teams that will be picked off. Look at Southampton; they lost their star to he went to West Ham, didn't they? I'm trying to think of
yeah. Ward-Prowse.
Ward-Prowse, and that will happen again, inevitable. I think that Norwich are the dark horse, and I know it's sad for
Yeah,
you to say that. Manning is a great coach, and they had such a flat season last year. They have some really, really good players, and if they can keep hold of most of them, I think they are the
made
team
some
that
good
will.
signings as well.
Yeah, they have. So your bottom three, here's the most important one because I think this is sort of quite difficult because there's been some really weird results so far this season, which
Yeah,
always are thrown up in August. Where do you see the bottom three?
I mean, if you asked me at the start of the season, I'd put Charlton down there, but I think after the game on Saturday, they do look half good. Defensively, they looked really good. Going forward, again, they didn't really do much, but then going away from home to a team like Bristol City, as a team like Charlton, you're not really going to be going for that attack, are you? So it's a weird one. I think, like I said earlier, I think the championship's so strong this year. All three teams that have come up usually, they'd be sort of in the conversation to go down, and I don't think they are this year. So I think Sheffield Wednesday, sorry, they'll be in trouble. Obviously, everyone knows that all too well. It's just going to be one of those ones where, although they're going to give it a really good go, I think it's just going to be such a struggle with no new signings and a young squad and all the issues off the pitch as well. So as sad as to say, I'll go Sheffield Wednesday. I think they'll be down there. Oxford, I think they'll possibly be down there this season. Obviously, they did really well to stay up as they did last year, but I think this season they just haven't strengthened as much as they need to. And then I've seen a few people say Hull again. I think they've made some good signings, but again, they played Oxford, didn't they, on whenever it was Sunday, and still conceded two, and it took a last minute winner to win. So I think they might be down there. But again, Hull was one of those ones where if they gel, they'll be completely fine, but they didn't last season. So it would be interesting to see if they can this year. There's sort of the three off the top of my head. Um, yeah, Preston possibly, but then again, I think they've just got a little bit too much compared to the teams like Sheffield Wednesday, Oxford. Portsmouth will be interesting. They
Mm.
haven't really got going yet this season. Obviously, it is only two games in, but yeah, it'll be an interesting one. I think a lot of the teams that came up last year that stayed up will be down there this season, and the sort of teams that were down there last season who haven't strengthened as much as they may have needed to, Blackburn, for example, they could be in a bit of trouble this year.
It's interesting because I think Preston are definitely the one that on paper should struggle. I think there's going to be a big surprise this year again. I think Luton was a huge surprise. I think Watford could be in trouble this year. I think
Yeah.
Watford are messing around as they always do, and I never find them a secure club as they were when they were in the heights back in the 90s. So Ben, that's brilliant. I really appreciate your time on that. So Ben, just to wrap it up, you're part of Rams on tour, Robbins on tour. Where can they find you and all your social media outlets?
Yeah, so it's just on YouTube, Robin on tour, do match day vlogs mostly. And then I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well on BenMeBCFC. But yeah, YouTube's the main one, Robin's on tour.
Brilliant. And finally, your prediction for Friday.
Yeah, I knew this was coming. It's a weird one. With Struber, you never really know what to expect. It's like going into this season, it was so weird because usually you sort of have an inkling in the back of your mind of what to sort of expect, and we have no idea what to expect. I think it's so early still, we still don't know what to expect. For example, going and beating Sheffield United 4-1 and then failing to score at home to Charlton. So it's a weird one. I mean, anything less than a 3-0 loss is obviously building on last year. But we're hoping that under Struber, our away form's going to be much better. I think we only won 2 or 3 games away from home last year under Manning. So we're hoping that the away form might kick in this year. So I can predict against us. So I'll go for a 2-1 win, a 2-1 win to the Reds with Jason Knight and Matt Bird scoring.
Oh, that hurts. And bear in mind, we've conceded 8 goals in 2 games to the top of the league, Stoke City. We've got beat. So yeah, I to be honest, I think if you score early, which I think if you come out all guns a-blazing, I think Derby are in real trouble because we have no idea what formation we're going to play, who's going to play. It's literally round pegs and square holes at the moment. So I think it's a game on telly. It's under the floodlights. Bristol City are out there to continue the great form you've had so far. Ben, thank you so much for your time today, sir. And we'll catch up again during the season.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to Friday.
No problem. And that's the Rams View podcast preview show with Ben Mead from Robins on Tour. And let's see how it all pans out Friday night under lights at Pride Park. And it's left for me to say, come on, you Rams.